when she was looking for a sign. I'll never understand how an angel can be baptized by fire, but she says a prayer for me when I haven't got a prayer. And she's more than I deserve, more than I deserve. Yeah, she's more than I deserve, more than I deserve. Mama, can you see? I hope you're proud of me, 'cause you're more than I deserve, more than I deserve. You're more than I deserve, more than I deserve. You're more than I deserve, more than I deserve. You're more than I deserve, more than I deserve, more than I deserve, more than I
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Welcome to Homeland Hero Salute Podcast with your hosts, Doug Macedo and Tim Chambers.
welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Doug, and today we've got a special guest with us today. But first and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors. As you will see, the up above us or down below us is going to be our sponsors and everything. We want to say thank you. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And then also down to our all of our viewers and listeners out there. Definitely appreciate you checking in with us and definitely giving us a like and subscribe. If you can definitely start doing, check us out on our YouTube channel. Make sure you start hitting the subscribe button on that because we need our subbies. Give us our subbies. So without further ado, we are going to introduce Jake here, which is Michael Jacobs. But his name is his name is Jake. Not Jake from State Farm, right? It's not Jake from State Farm.
Reminds me of Roadhouse. The name is Dalton. I mean Jake. Yeah.
Jake. Well, Jake, I know we as we were talking, even talking about this the other night. We were talking about what we were going to talk about, but we wanted to what I wanted to get into is your a little bit about your military history and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I could start all the way back at the beginning in 1984. And I was a senior in high school, and a lot of my buddies were joining different branches of the service. And I had talked to the Marines, and I talked to the Air Force, and I was talking to the Navy. And most of my friends were leaning Navy. I had an uncle that was in the Navy, so I had heard a lot of good stuff about the Navy. And the recruiter just, he sold me. And I joined the Navy, joined the delayed entry program right before I graduated, and in October. So I had my summer to, do whatever I needed to do. And then come October, I left for boot camp, went to Great Lakes, and graduated on December 7th, 1984. It was minus 36 with the wind chill in Great Lakes. And then they promptly flew me to Virginia Beach, and where I was going to do my tech training after that, where it was like 72. So it was a huge disparity in temperature, and I'm in my dress blues and my pea coat, and I'm like really, really sweating. So that was a culture shock. And then I became an operations specialist in the Navy, which is a glorified radar operator. So finished my training in Dam Neck, and then just launched on a series of adventures. And I initially only intended to do 4 years and get out, and just be able to say, hey, I did 4 years, I'm a veteran, and get out. But the problem with that was I was having too much fun.
Yeah.
And I joined the Navy to travel. And in my first 4 years, I went the whole way around South America and the Mediterranean and the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And at the end of that 4 years, my detailer was like, well, Jake, we can offer you a re-enlistment bonus.
Yeah.
I forget. It might have been around 16 grand or something around there. But in order to take that bonus, you have to sign up for 6 more years. So I started doing the math on that. I'm like, well, if I do this, that's going to put me at 10. I'm going to be in this for the long haul. So that's what I did. That launched me on another series of adventures with different ships, and went to another ship, and then I did 2 tours of recruiting duty. So I like I said, my recruiter really sold it to me. He was really good. He didn't lie at all. He gave me this straight up. So I kind of wanted to pay that back. So I did 2 tours of recruiting duty myself, shore duty, and then I ended up my last couple of years. My last ship was the USS Baton, which I reported to the Baton a week before 9/11. And the Baton was scheduled to deploy for a regular Mediterranean cruise, in a week. 9/11 happened, and that just changed everything. We ended up going over to the Middle East for 9 months, I think, almost 9.5 months before we got back. And then by the time 2004 is when I retired. So I retired quietly. I did my 20 and ran. Not that I might have done maybe a couple more years, but after 20, I was done. I mean, I had seen pretty much the whole world. Like the the two places that I really wanted to see that I didn't get a chance to was Hawaii and Australia. And we almost got to Australia, but at the time we were on Minesweepers and we were out of Bahrain. And I don't think they were trying to do the logistics on that, and they just they didn't think that a Minesweeper could make it to there with refueling and stuff like that. So I almost made it, but no Australia. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, 20 years in the Navy. I got out as an E6, E7 in the Navy with my rating was kind of hard to achieve because there were a lot of E7s in the Navy. We call them chiefs,
Yeah.
which are appointed by Congress. So there was a lot of chiefs and senior chiefs and master chiefs in at the time that just weren't retiring. They were still active duty, and they can't promote if people aren't retiring. So it was kind of a numbers game.
Yeah.
So, however, my second tour of recruiting duty, they kind of made me an offer. It's like, let me make you an offer you can't refuse. They were like, if you want, we can make you a career recruiter. You'll never go back to the fleet. Your rate will change to a Navy counselor, and you will make chief the next time around. And I thought about that, and I was like, well, that sounds like I'm making a deal with the devil. No, I'll go back to the fleet. So
Yeah.
that's when I went to the baton, and then 9/11 happened. So, but yeah, so in a quick, 4 minutes or whatever that was my Navy career, and I was in during Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Iraqi Freedom, 9/11, obviously, all that stuff. So for
Nice.
me, I absolutely loved it. I mean, yeah, there were times that sucked. I'm not going to lie. There
Yeah.
were people that I worked for, like with any place, bad people, bad leaders. But for the most part, I don't regret any part of my 20-year career.
Yeah, nice. And I did. I mean, I wish I did 20. I really wish I did at least 20, if not more. But I ended up getting discharged after getting injured. Saying that 3 injuries after that. But I ended up getting medically discharged and with 9 years, 11 months, 28 days. But who's counting, right?
Right.
But yeah, no, it's definitely thank you for your service, and we wanted to definitely give you that because everybody needs to tell all veterans thank you for your service. Because it's just for us as a veterans, we're just saying it to one another because that's what we feel that is necessary. So with that all now behind you and everything, now you're a podcaster, you're a audiobook narrator. Like what else? I mean, what else do you do?
Well, I guess I should start with when I first retired. I was living in Virginia. I was living in the Hampton Roads area, and didn't really know what I wanted to do after 20 years. And I thought it would be a great idea after 20 years in the military to go into retail.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking, but there was one of my favorite stores at the time was a Best Buy, and there was a brand new one opening up in Chesapeake, Virginia. And I interviewed and got the job, and it dove headfirst into retail a week before Black Friday.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about a trial by fire. So, and it was different. I liked it. I was in home theater, so I was selling, TVs and stuff, and I did that. And then after about 2, 3 years, I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, what seriously, what am I doing? And it was then I'd always loved music and anything dealing with music. And I was like, I didn't spend 20 years in the Navy to get out and work at Best Buy for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Why don't I move to Nashville? With not knowing anybody, just on a whim, just said, I don't know, are we allowed to cuss on here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Have at it.
Okay. I just said, fuck it, I'm moving to Nashville. And without even knowing anything or how anything works. And I came here, and I I needed a job right away. So I went to Best Buy. So they hired me on right away. So, but the cool thing about that was at the time, Best Buy was delving into musical instruments, kind of like a Guitar Center within a Best Buy.
Yeah.
Right. It was really new. And so I got into that, and I actually started giving guitar lessons. That was part of what Best Buy did. So I wasn't selling anymore. I was just giving lessons, which was kind of cool. And then I got a piece of mail one day, and it it looked like junk mail. And I was typically throwing these things out. It was from the VA, or no, it might not have been from the VA. It was about the post 9/11 GI Bill.
Yeah.
And my whole 20 years that I did, I had never done I'd never done the college fund. I never did any of that because I never planned on going to college. Never thought about it.
Yeah.
And I almost threw it away, and I picked it up again and I looked at it. And it basically said if you were on active duty during 9/11 and at least 90 days after 9/11, that you were eligible for this post 9/11 GI Bill. And I'm like, and then it said, hey, we'll pay you your basic housing allowance every month if you go full time.
Yeah.
Caveat was you had to go full time. And I'm like, it looks like I might be qualified for this. So I looked around and I'm like, well, what the hell would I go to school for? Like, I had no idea. Well, I'm in Nashville. How about audio production? So there was an art institute here at the time, and they gladly took me in and accepted the post 9/11 GI Bill. And in October of 2009, I started at the Art Institute, and it was a very quick 3-year bachelor program at the Art Institute. And they had this $10 million state-of-the-art recording studio, nice, SSL board, nice rooms and everything. And I had to do math. I had to do English. Like it was a real, bachelor's degree. So I had to do all that school stuff, but we
Yeah.
also got to do video stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I got introduced to a lot of people. Learned a lot of things about studio, the producing side of it, and
Yeah.
found out real quick that those songs that you love, that you listen to on the radio, the songs that you just brings you back to your childhood or whatever,
Yeah.
the people that make that, by the time they're done making it, they're sick of hearing it, and if they never hear it again, they're okay with that because you have to listen to the songs over and over again during that process. So
Yeah.
kind of got an education in that, and then after that. I'm doing, basically freelance engineering stuff. I've recorded a lot of bands, lots of singer-songwriters, lots of musicians that just want their instruments recorded on somebody else's material. Is it okay to name drop?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a band called Whiskey Myers. They're a country rock band. Well, they lean more toward the rock, but they were featured heavily in the show Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And they were working on a new record, and one of my musician friends plays pedal steel, and they wanted him to play pedal steel on their record. So they hired him, and he then in turn hired me. And in 2 days, we recorded like 8 songs for the 14 songs that were on their album.
Wow.
So, and I've done a lot more. I produced an audio track for a band called the Kentucky Linemen that ended up in the movie Life on the Line with John Travolta. And then after that, I don't know if I was just getting tired of it. I decided to go back to work, real work, and do tech support, which is pretty lucrative. It pays pretty well. And I don't really want to say Apple on here because my podcast, I kind of say some things that if Apple heard, I might be promoted to customer. So let's leave Apple out of that. But during the course of a couple of years, and my voice is like giving out on me this morning. I don't know. Customers telling me all the time, hey, you have a really, really cool voice. You have a radio voice. You should do something with that. Let me get a sip of coffee here. So after a couple of years of hearing that, like constantly over and over again, I decided, well, let me look into audiobooks. So I did, and I still am. I just haven't done any recently, but during the course of auditions, I was just doing like self-help books, like,
Yeah.
books that didn't require me to do character voices or lines or dialogue or anything like that. So I was, probably taking the easy way out, but I was picking up a couple. And then one day, I'd done about 10 or 15 auditions that day, and this audition comes across, and I'm looking at it, and the very first thing is dialogue, like a line of dialogue. All right, and it was a memoir for retired DEA agent Dave Gaddis.
Oh yeah,
So-
we were just talking about that. Was it the other night? I think the other night.
Yeah. And, I thought to myself, well, I'm just going to do it. Because when you do the auditions for these audiobooks, you only give them 2 minutes. I mean, they can give you a full manuscript, but after about 15 seconds of them listening to it, they know if they're going to take you or not. So I gave them 2 minutes, and I've told Dave this. I said, I was tired that day. It was the last audition of the day. I said, I really don't think I gave it my all. Well, he listened to it, and he said he listened to about 12 others, and he said he had to pick me because I nailed it. I nailed what he had written and how he had felt when he written it, and he said you just read it exactly how I had it in my head.
Yeah.
So I landed a 10-hour memoir for this DEA agent, and I did the book, and we've since become really good friends, and he's a really great guy. And then that kind of morphed into podcasting, and the original idea for this, and I don't talk about politics. I really don't care politics.
Yeah.
All I know was after this last election, I know a lot of people were upset, and a lot of people were doing these podcasts where they were this way or they're that way, and bashing this side, bashing that side, and I remember thinking to myself, "What the?" Right? You can finish that sentence, and I'm like, and then I said that again, and then I'm like, and then I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, if I stayed away from the politics, but just that phrase itself, because you say it so many times. Well, people that cuss say it anyway. But I mean, that phrase or a version of that phrase is said a million times a day, and there's a million different ways to say it. Some
Yeah.
are a question. Some is, in horror. Some is like, it's the way you inflect it with your voice. But it could be, you could use it for anything. And then I'm like, I could basically make like a Seinfeld, talk about nothing about that phrase. And so literally I started off with myself, and then I invited one of my coworkers, and then that morphed into I invited another military guy, another Navy guy, Don, on there. And now the three of us get together every Sunday morning. We call it our Sunday morning church, our Sunday morning therapy. And we don't have a script. I hit the record button, and we can see each other. Samantha's in North Carolina, Don's in Florida, and we just talk about whatever is on our mind for 2 hours.
Nice.
Then that 2 hours gets edited down into a 20-minute segment, and I try to make it as funny as I can. Some of them are kind of serious, but for the most part, they're just funny and entertaining, and
Yeah.
we're picking on each other and stuff like that. And then I put a blooper reel at the beginning of each one, and it's fun. It's an escape. It really is, and I didn't want to, and again, like I said, I didn't want to do anything political because there's a million of those, and after about, you can watch 1 minute of one and watch another minute of another one, and they're all saying the same thing. Really, no one's influencing
Well,
anybody.
Well,
I
just
mean,
just so as we're sitting here, I'm wearing I'm wearing something political.
yeah, and on my show, two of us lean one way and one leans the other way politically, but I mean, we just don't talk about it because it's
I'm
polarized.
just I'm just a shit starter when it comes to stuff.
Yeah.
I don't talk about it. I don't do much about it on the podcast at all. Actually, I don't think I've ever done anything with it on it. This is the first time I'm like I wore the short. I just grabbed something and I'm like, yeah, I need to wear this.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. Well, see, I mean, and entertainers, movie stars, and musical performers, and artists, a lot of them stay away from it too because they're afraid of if I show support for this one person or the other, then I'm going to lose half of my fan base.
Yeah.
And it's true, it happens, it really does, and if you listen to me and Don, the way we interact with each other on the show.
Yeah.
He's one way and I'm the other way politically, but you'd never know it because we just don't care. We're friends.
Yeah.
It's never gotten between us. So, yeah. So
Hey, it's
I
just-
stay from it, but
It's the same. It's the same with me and a bunch of other people I know. The guy that does, buddy of mine that does the, he does all the editing and stuff. We may go back and forth on social media, but I love the guy. He's a great Individual. He does so much for me. I respect him. and I respect, his view. He respects my view. We just sometimes go back and forth with stuff just to, like, to throw it out there. But
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah. Sometimes it's humor. Sometimes you can just have fun with it, But some
yeah,
people just there's a lot of people that I know that their friends are that they've separated themselves from. I have family members that don't talk to each other because they're one way or the other. I don't get it. I mean, I really don't.
yeah.
I just don't.
No, I don't. It's not gonna pull me apart from my family or from my friends.
That's
A
great.
lot of us, again, that's even veterans, we look at certain things certain ways, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
you got your opinion, I got my opinion. That's what's all so great about America. You can
Yeah.
have your opinion, I can have my opinion.
Yep.
Okay, and move on. That's it. Losing friends or family over politics is absolutely asinine.
It is.
It's
I-
it's going too far.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but that's great. That's great. You guys do that. I mean, on Sunday mornings. That's awesome.
Yeah.
To be able to have your church, your therapy, your stress reliever, whatever it is,
We,
to
we were
do.
doing one episode. Yeah, I forget what we were talking about, but it was toward the end of the 2 hours. And Don, he was talking about something and he lost his train of thought. And he's like, Jake, he's like, this is like therapy. He's like, I need this.
Yeah.
And that's what it's become. So every Sunday morning, without fail, I hit that record button at 8 o'clock Central. At 10 o'clock, we're like, see you guys next week. And then I take the week to edit that down to 20 minutes and make it entertaining. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome, and it's good to be able to do that. Um, you know, So I want to get more into just a little bit because we usually run our shows about 30 minutes or so, but
okay.
I wanted to get into talking, what else, with all that you do, you must be able to find time to spend time with your family, and stuff like that. Um,
Well, you talked about your busy schedule, so yeah, my busy schedule. So with work, uh, we recently well, I work a closing shift, so I work 1:30 to 10:30, Sunday through Thursday. So that kind of makes it difficult to try to plan to do anything. Otherwise, we have to work around that. But right now, I am off work because the VA. uh, I had carpal tunnel surgery on my
oh,
dominant,
Jesus.
and we could go down a rabbit hole with this, but I don't want
Yeah.
to eat up all the time here. But so back in the fall, I tore the long arm, the long head tendon on my right arm that holds the bicep up,
Yeah.
right? Then when that happens, when that snaps, you get this thing called a Popeye deformity. It looks like I'm
Yeah.
flexing, right? So I felt it happen, and then a couple weeks after it happened, after about a minute, the pain was gone. So I'm like, fine, it actually feels better now, right? So I didn't go to the doctor right away.
Yeah.
So maybe 2 weeks later, I went, and they're like, oh yeah, so let's do an MRI on that. So they did the MRI. The MRI came back. So now this is like 3-4 weeks later because the VA takes forever, and
Yep.
they're looking at the MRI and they said, well, yeah, it's completely snapped, but we don't do surgery on that because it's technically just cosmetic, right?
Yeah.
You're not really losing any strength or you know dexterity or whatever. But during that examination, he's poking and prodding and he's pushing on my hand and stuff like that. And then he pushed someplace on my hand and I about went through the roof. And he's like, "Oh, you have carpal tunnel." So he says, we can't do the surgery on your arm, but let's get that carpal tunnel fixed. So 2 weeks later, I had carpal tunnel surgery. So this was in November. It was the week before Thanksgiving, and let's just say that it is not healing right. I'm having like nervy pain in my hand that I've never had before.
Yeah.
So now I'm going back and forth with the VA. They're like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong." I'm like, "You're not the one that's dealing with this nervy pain." So I'm in the
Yeah.
middle of that right now. So right now, Jake doesn't have a whole lot of free time for hardly anything. So
So
uh,
and that sucks. I hate to see that, and everything. And now I see that you do also have some guitars behind you. Looks like some two electric
yeah,
guitars, and then what is that? A bass?
That's a bass.
Yeah.
That's a bass. And I got a Telecaster and a Les Paul, and I'm not going to move my computer screen, but I have a couple of acoustics hanging around the room too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do play.
Yeah, I've got mine. It sits right next to me.
Oh yeah, nice. Is that a Takamine?
It is.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah. And then I've got an electric guitar on the other side of the room,
Sweet.
right next to my platinum record of Van Halen.
Which with the Van Halen one?
Yeah,
Oh yeah. That's a
I,
classic record.
I'll tell you, as soon as I got it, I cased it and put it up on the wall. I
Mm.
had to, um, and then I got one other one, but I don't have any really that many. I've got the electric, which is signed by Allison Cooper. Um, you know,
Nice.
so, but
I originally started out as a drummer.
yeah,
Before I joined the Navy, one of my other uncles was a drummer in a rock band, so I had to be a drummer, and I took to it pretty good. And I played the drums. I actually played the drums in a couple of bands while I was in the Navy. Some of the ships that were on, we had a band, and we would do that. And then I kind of self-taught guitar,
yeah,
myself guitar. And then when I came to Nashville, I was digging watching these bass players, man. I'm like, yeah, that looks pretty cool. And being a drummer with natural rhythm, the bass kind of just came natural to me. So I picked up the bass and started playing that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, when I'm not dealing with carpal tunnel, yeah, I do like to. And my son Alex works for Martin Guitar. He works at the Martin Guitar uh, plant in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, and he's in the custom shop, and he works on those beautiful necks of the Martin D28s.
nice, nice. I
Yeah.
mean, I want to get some more. I enjoy playing. I'm not a professional or anything, but I'm also, I just started writing the song. Um, which
Nice.
I think I mean I came to almost a pretty decent part of it, being finished, but I need to then now just fine tune some of the um, some of the lyrics on it and just change out a section. But yeah, I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah, keep going, man. They have a program here, and when we go offline, I'll look it up for you, Doug. It's I can't think of the name of it now. But it basically what it is, it's these hit songwriters here in Nashville.
Yeah.
They partner up with veterans who want to write songs,
Oh yeah,
and they help.
Label 22 and Black River Entertainment.
Okay, yeah, that's probably what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I've seen like videos and stuff like that. So yeah, so you already know about that.
Yeah, I get hooked up. I've got a good get in with Label 22 and Black River Entertainment. I get their artists coming onto the podcast quite
Nice,
a bit. Like
nice.
Chris Turner, Scotty Hastings, Sal. I can't pronounce his last name. I think it's Gomez or Gamaz or something like that. My apologies, Sal, for butchering your last name. But yeah, no, I've got there's so much, and I'm getting into stuff to even go to the retreats and stuff that they have. But with everything, how much time do you when you're actually doing good, other than with the carpal tunnel? How much time do you normally try to spend with that, with playing the guitar, and even do you jam out with your son?
Well, actually, no. Alex lives in Pennsylvania, so he lives up in the Poconos in
Ah,
Pennsylvania, and I'm in Nashville. So it's kind of hard for us to jam. But the beginning music, the intro music, and the outro music to my podcast is him. He does all the instruments, and that's his band. And they just released their record a couple of weeks ago on all the streaming platforms.
yeah,
So that's him. Um, and let's see. As far as like spending time like playing, it's been a while since I've done that because the carpal tunnel has been eating up a lot of that. It's really kind of hard because this is my strumming hand and my dominant hand. So even playing drums, it's kind of hard. So it's like my coordination isn't quite what it used to be. So I
yeah,
guess until they figure that out, I'm just gonna have to wait it out.
yeah,
But that's okay, I can still talk, right? So
yeah.
if that hasn't been affected. So, uh, And I was a recruiter for 6 years, so I can sell a Frigidaire to an Eskimo. So
All right. Well, we're getting to that time. We got about a minute left. But I mean,
Good.
just to even answer your thing is like I can sell a box of crayons to a blind person with no arms and no legs.
there you go.
I mean, that's how good of a salesperson I am. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, man.
but without further ado, I mean, if you can inspire any of our viewers or listeners on this, with just one little word of advisement to them, as being down and out, with some of the veterans, a lot of us all fight with PTSD. But is there
Absolutely.
something you can give them to a word of wisdom, or just word of encouragement?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that would be, don't ever think that you can't do something. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, and don't be afraid to try something new, because you might surprise yourself and end up loving that thing that it is that you thought you could never do. And I'm a walking example of that. I would have never thought that I'd be doing what I'm doing right now, even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So don't let any self-doubt, or I don't think I could do that very well. Don't let that creep into your mind. Just do it.
Absolutely. And this is I mean, as you probably saw in my email signature, I always put this out there as, this is from an unknown author, a veteran rather than active duty, retired, or National Guardist or reservist, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount of up including their lives. So just remember, it doesn't matter if you're active duty, reservist, National Guard, or even Air National Guard, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You're still a veteran, and always remember that. And if you need help, dial the veteran crisis line, which is 988. Reach out. You can reach out to me directly. My cell phone number is out there on every platform. Reach out to talk to me. Your life is way too valuable. So don't ever think that you can't, talk to someone. Don't ever feel like you're not accepted. Reach out to me. I will tell you otherwise. And I will throat punch the person who ever tells you something else.
There you go.
So without that, we definitely salute you guys. Thank you for your guys' service. Thank you, Jake, for your service. And thank you for coming on this evening, and appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Until next time, everybody, make sure you keep it real, keep it 1,000, and keep it real, just not real dumb.
Thank you for supporting Homeland Heroes Salute Podcast. Please make sure to like and follow Homeland Heroes on all of their social media outlets. Homeland Heroes Salute Podcast is a Foo Bar Studios Sinista1 Co-production.